What's up? Welcome back. Studio Day Heffrey. It's nice to see you guys. We actually got some Cowboy news this morning, which is great, which means I don't have to do 17 mock drafts today, although I did see all you guys who are still trying to make me do mock drafts and trade Dak and trade second-round picks. I see you guys, but maybe later, since we have some actual news to discuss today. Remember, you can always, on the YouTube page, youtube.com/Jeff Kavanaugh, leave in the comments what you want to talk about tomorrow, and if it is a topic that's worthwhile, I'll get all over it. I got probably 8 or 10 questions I'm going to use from you guys today after we get through the very beginning, which is the news from Jane Slater of the NFL Network and our friend. She says that the Cowboys are getting close with Dontari Poe, defensive tackle, who coming into the league, he was a lot of fun because I'm a big fan of the 350-pound player, big fan of the fat man. And I say that with all due respect. I don't mean fat as a shaming term. I mean fat as a I will hold the point of attack for you sort of guy. So Poe has been with the Panthers the last couple of years, had 4 sacks last year, but he is not a pass rusher necessarily. He is a run stuffer. He's a 346-pound man that stuffs the run. So why do I like it? Once this becomes official, it's not official at the moment, but it sounds like they're working towards it. Once they get Dontari Poe in here, I am a fan of the signing for 2 reasons. One, it's an upgrade. They need a run stuffer. They need a one technique. They need that nose tackle, and Dontari Poe can fit that bill even going into his age 30 season. He's still got enough. He's still got enough to be a solid nose tackle, and now it'll be Dontari Poe and Gerald McCoy at defensive tackle, and I just think that is considerably better than what they were running out a year ago at those 2 spots. So adding him is good in that regard. The other part that is important here is Dontari Poe is a guy that Carolina turned down an option on. Once they did that, he does not affect the comp pick formula. So like right now in 2021, the Dallas Cowboys are going to have a bunch of extra picks. Robert Quinn is going to get them. Well, let's start at the top. Byron Jones is going to get them a compensatory 3rd-round pick. So at the end of the 3rd round next year, the Cowboys are going to have an extra pick. Robert Quinn might get them another 3rd-round pick, depending how many other huge deals are signed. Maybe that's a 4th-round pick. And there's other ones too. Randall Cobb is scheduled right now to get him a compensatory pick. Jason Witten and Jeff Heath, actually, according to overthecap.com, qualify to get you a comp pick, as does Malik Collins. Excuse me. Now, Gerald McCoy, I believe, will cancel out one of those bottom ones, but they're in line right now to get somewhere between 3 and 5 extra draft picks, which is awesome. You know, once you get past the 2nd and 3rd rounds, the hit rate in the draft goes way down. But if you have, let's say, 4 extra picks, 4 extra darts to throw at that board, the odds of you finding a good player or 2 go up. So that would be great. Big fan. If this Dontari Poe thing gets done, I'm a big fan of the signing. It makes sense on every level. It helps free him up in the draft to not be needing a nose tackle, and it helps them by not costing them a comp pick, which they've accrued by losing good players so far. Now, what does that leave for the Cowboys with the biggest areas of need left? I would say, and this is great for me, right? Team 40 Burger, stand up. Wide receiver is one of your biggest needs. Your 1-2 is great. Gallup 1,100 yards last year, so did Amari Cooper, and Amari Cooper is locked in for the long haul. Gallup's got 2 years left at least. So you're really good at 1 and 2, but that's really the end of the depth chart for the Cowboys at wide receiver. You're looking at the practice squad guys and Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown and guys like that. So wide receiver becomes one of the biggest needs available. Probably not the biggest. The biggest is probably now defensive end. Tank Lawrence on the left side, no problem. Randy Gregory, thanks to the great reporting of Patrick Walker. Patrick, no C in that Patrick. Patrick Walker, voice of the Star, reporting that Randy Gregory will be filing for reinstatement and plans to be back and be back for good. He's still only 27 years old, and just his natural ability. He's done this before, where he missed a bunch of time, and then when he came back on the field, his natural ability says he can step in and go. Maybe he's not playing 60 or 70% of the defensive snaps, but Randy Gregory, if they get him back, which I can't imagine he wouldn't be reinstated, because if he's not, then I'll have really harsh words for Roger Goodell. Like, let me tell you about mental illness, brother. It's tough. And if people are coping with marijuana, that's okay. So leave us alone. And I don't even smoke. THC and me don't get along. More of a CBD guy. But anyway, so Gregory can help. But outside of that, Dorrance Armstrong and Joe Jackson, they need help at defensive end. They'll still sign one. They're going to sign one in free agency. So we'll keep our ear to the street on who that might be. But now defensive end is one of your biggest needs. I'll allow corner to be in there, although it's not massive, because you did bring Anthony Brown back. You do have Jordan Lewis and Cheeto. So in theory, you've got 3 starters there. You've got Maurice Kennedy, who played well in the snaps that he played for Baltimore. You've got C.J. Goodwin back, although that's more of a special teamer. Excuse me. That's not the COVID, by the way. It's just allergies. It's just my life. So you got 5. You got 5 that you're comfortable carrying on a roster. You probably want 6, though. So they either need one more in free agency or the draft. So they need a corner. They need a defensive end. And even with the addition of HaHa Clinton Dix, I would not be opposed to trying to find a safety and still upgrade that. Xavier Woods is still the best safety on this roster. And I would extend Xavier Woods. You know, they've gotten burned on this extending guys early and hoping that it's on the come, as Jerry would say. And our buddy Broadus mentioned that last year Xavier Woods is one of those guys that maybe wasn't doing just his job all the time, was out there trying to do more than you can do and try to do too much. But he had a solid year, and he's in his 3rd year. And if you could get him at a nice price, I would extend him so that I wouldn't have to worry about replacing my entire secondary here really soon. So that's the biggest areas of need left. And now we go to the people. What do you guys want to talk about? You can use a tight end too, if it's the right value. You got Schultz and Jarwin, but you could use another one. Anthony says the Cowboys will either pick a wide receiver, corner, or a safety at 17. Oh, you're in the ballpark. I would add an edge rusher to that list. Kayvon Chason's an option if he makes it there. I got questions about A.J. Epenesa's ability to turn the corner in the NFL, but maybe he's an option there. Maybe Zach Bond, depending on what they're going to do schematically, the Wisconsin linebacker. Hey, Jeff, love the content. This is from Zach. Feel like it's been a while since we got to see a mock draft doing solely what you would do instead of what fans would do, especially with the updated roster from free agency so far. Any chance we could get one like that? Yeah, I'll do one like that. Not today, but I will do one like that. We got a radio show coming up, which is going to be great. We'll be working from home. I'll be at home. Gavin will be at home. Broadus will be in studio so that we're all separated. I'm doing the right thing. Favorite receiver in each round from Paul. First round, CeeDee Lamb. Second round, Denzel Mims out of Baylor. Third round, I'm trying to work out. Because right now I have KJ Hill listed as my top third round guy, the Ohio State slot receiver. But that's with 7 guys listed in the second round. So maybe Brandon Ayuk or KJ Hamler if I bump them down. But I may just keep 7 guys there with second round grades because it's a really good receiver group. So third round at the moment is KJ Hill. Fourth round is Jawan Jennings, I believe, at Tennessee, followed by Tyler Johnson at Minnesota and Devin Duvernay at Texas. My fifth round guys at the top are James Prochet at SMU and Colin Johnson at Texas. I still got guys to work through. But yeah, those guys. Adrian, considering the Cowboys insist on using a roster spot for Noah Brown, would Chase Claypool in the third round be an upgrade? Big target receiver that excels at special teams. I'm interested in Claypool. I don't love the tape. He's a giant. He's a huge wide receiver. Is he bigger than Calvin Johnson? He may not be taller than Calvin Johnson, but the weight's about the same, about 240. And he's a great athlete. And he had good numbers. He had really good numbers at Notre Dame. But I don't think he deals with press coverage well. I have some questions about Chase Claypool. But he's a phenomenal special teamer. He's a great athlete who had big production at Notre Dame. So in the third round, if they picked him, I'd go, okay. Maybe play him as a big slot or something. Okay. I could dance with that. From Jamie, hey, Studio Day Heffrey, what are your thoughts on trading some future picks with what we're in line for in compensatory picks? I'm considering even as high as our second rounder next year. You could if you wanted to. If you needed to get something done in this draft, you wanted to move up for a guy, and you wanted to throw in next year like a 4 to get something done, or a 5, maybe even a 3, you absolutely could do that because you're anticipating next year having an extra 3, maybe 2 of them. And if not, you'll have an extra 4, probably then an extra 5 and an extra 6. You'll have a lot to play with a year from now. So, yeah, if you wanted to dip into next year's picks, go ahead. That dude, what do you think about Raekwon Davis from Alabama? I think that his sack totals was that a freshman or a sophomore? He had a bunch of sacks early in his career at Bama. I think that set an unfair bar for what people thought he was as a prospect, because if you go back and look at him, it wasn't like they were super high-quality sacks, and he's a run stuffer. So, to me, Raekwon Davis is a 3rd or 4th round run stuffer at Alabama, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good player. Teams need that. If they took Raekwon Davis in the 4th round to just play nose tackle for the next 4 years, okay. Even though it sounds like they're going to have Dontari Poe there. But still, you need other guys. Hey, Jeff, love the show. Would you pull the trigger on C.J. Henderson, the Florida corner at number 17? That's from Donnie. Absolutely, positively, yes, I would. Jeff Noble, can you please mock us getting rid of Dak? Okay, maybe later. Jeremiah, if you draft C.J. Henderson in the 1st and somehow Trevon Diggs, the Alabama corner, falls to you in the 2nd, do you double dip in the first 2 rounds? Yeah. Yeah, and then you figure it out. Because now you've got them 2 and Cheeto and Brown and Jordan Lewis, Maurice Kennedy, and then Goodwin's more of a special teamer. But, yeah, I absolutely would. Because Cheeto's in the last year of his deal. Jordan Lewis is in the last year of his deal. Yeah. Absolutely. If the right guys are available, take 2 of them. Trent, best draft you've done yet. The next video, can you discuss a little how you think not having all these pro days and in-person visits is going to affect the draft process? Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. We'll have to see what happens with the draft. Is it going to go off on time? Because if it is, I'll have to look this up. I bet they're going to have a date. They'll figure it out, a way for like 2 at a throw. And I think what you should do is, like, DFW has all these different places, right? APEC and Exos, and is Michael Johnson still a thing? I think so. But you've got all these facilities that could house a regional combine. You could do that. Keep people sort of the proper amount away from each other, but I think you could do that. You could have regionally the guys who didn't work out at the combine or couldn't. You could find a way to get them to have their workout where people could see it. Even if you don't have a ton of scouts there, you can put cameras there. You can obviously, with lasers, time things, and you can figure that out. Jose Banks from Twitter said, love your show on YouTube, listening to you on the draft and trust the tape. If the Cowboys get Poe or Snacks, do you see them moving up to ensure they get a cornerback they really want? No. And it does sound like they're going to get Dontari Poe. But I don't think you would move up for a corner, and I don't want them to. Unless it's Okudah. I'll give up my 1 and my 2 to go get Jeff Okudah for sure, because I think he's a stud. The other guys, I think between like C.J. Henderson, Christian Fulton, Jeff Gladney at TCU, Trayvon Diggs, Noah Igbenogany at Auburn. Like there's a handful of guys that I think are kind of in a tier together, and I don't need to go chasing one and give up picks. I would rather just let it sort itself out and pick one of them. That's the way I would rather go about it. All right, that's all the time I got today. I got an actual radio show to get ready for today. 105.3 The Fan. Remember, you can stream it on the radio.com app if you can't get on the actual radio. You can go 105.3thefan.com/fancam. You can listen live on 105.3 The Fan. You can watch us on the fan cam. We're working through exactly how we're going to do that, even though we'll be at home today doing the show. And leave in the comments what you want to talk about tomorrow. I appreciate you guys. And subscribe to my YouTube page and check 1053thefan.com every day. Turn on the notifications. Okay? I love you guys.